The Royal Commission of Inquiry into Abuse in State Care found that neglect and abuse was systemic and widespread in institutions from 1950 to 1999, affecting an estimated 113,000 to 253,000 children and adults. But a year on for the government's apology, many survivors feel the actions of the government are in contradiction to its promises for change. Survivor and advocate Ken Clearwater said many survivors, although they would have reflected on the day, are they disappointed? He joins me now. Hello, Ken.
Kia ora, Leah, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. Look, we wanted to talk yesterday on the day of the events, but you were a very, very busy man. So I appreciate you being available today because I still think it's important to talk about it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So the event was named Our Day, Our Voice. And what was yesterday? What did it mean to you?
Well, it was like a party atmosphere. There were well over 200 people there. Everyone was there in that mode because we were all together, not because of the apology. There's still a lot of people not happy with the apology, and it looks really awesome when the government stand up there and they talk about these millions of dollars. But I've got 5 guys on suicide watch at the moment who have been trying to go through the redress program, and it's that difficult and that hard that they're suicidal. And I don't think you putting $700 million up to that without having a proper redress system in place is really damaging.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that too because there are many that are, well, more than disappointed. You've said suicidal with the redress changes, especially since less than a third of the government's 774 million abuse and care packages will actually go to survivors. So is it because it's too hard to get to, Ken?
It's not the too hard. It's the difficulty of dealing with whoever's running it. So it's not survivor driven. So if I ring up, I'd like to have someone at the other end of the line who understands my trauma. And if there's any issues, like they say, for argument's sake, look, we've got to do this, this, and that, then and explain it to the survivor from their lived experience. But to have the bureaucrats basically say, no, you're not saying you're not entitled to that. But I've seen on the TV that I can get a top-up. Oh, yes, but you can't get a top-up. And you've got ones that were in the in state-based, faith-based, and Lake Alice. Then you've got the ones that are all 3, and then the education system as well. So where do they go? Do I go to the education system? Do I go to MSD? Do I go to Lake Alice and stuff like that? And there's no one there to guide them through that. And we've asked and talked to them about those sorts of things, but they're not put in place.
And Kim, would it be fair to say, after everything that they've been through, this is just one more disappointment, hoop to jump or whatever to go, you know what, I'm just not going to bother. Does it get like that?
Oh, look, there's heaps like that, and they ring me up and I'll explain, and they'll say, it's not worth it. They've been through it with WINS, when before all this, they've been through it with the prison system and stuff like that. So it's really difficult, and the isolation is just huge for survivors.
Yeah. Yes.
And we had no MPs.
Yes. Now that I saw that, so. Of the 60-odd events that went on around the country yesterday, Ken, you were at one that was you said hundreds turned up. It was great to see the people, and no politicians went to any of them.
No, and I was really, I've got to be honest, Matt Ducey's in my area down here. He's the mental health minister.
Yes.
And I wrote to him, he couldn't do it. All the other MPs, and they all said that they were, it's because they had to be in Parliament that day. So I wrote to Christopher Lux and Christopher Hipkins and Erica Sanford and says, this is a day that you've set up. Why aren't politicians coming? And the reply from Erica was that each politician in the area had an opportunity to apply for leave and things like that. So, and everyone's saying, isn't it wonderful that they stood up in Parliament and had a minute's silence? No. It's not. Why weren't they?
Yeah.
Why weren't they out at these meetings so that they could listen to the people? And that was our voice. And we had the mayor, we had the Catholic bishop, we had the Anglican bishop, we had the top man from the Maris brothers. They were there, and they, not one of those spoke, because they were there to listen to what the survivors had to say. And that's all we wanted from a MP. And it didn't matter what
Wow.
MP it was, but just having an MP there. In
That is
fact, to
so.
be honest, it's just disrespectful.
Yes. I'm, Ken, it's one thing, words have to be backed up by actually doing something. And
Yeah.
to say, I mean, I played that little bit from last year of the Prime Minister, saying that a year from now we're going to have this Remembrance Day, and everyone, and then you can say things to you blue in the face, but you got to
Yes.
back it
Yeah.
up with them actually
Yeah.
going and listening, especially on the first year of it, Ken. I mean,
Exactly. It's quite
you
simple,
know,
isn't it? Yeah.
I
And the other thing for us too is like that, we don't want this to happen again. Well,
no,
isn't that interesting? Because the latest OT report tells us 500 children in this latest report have been abused in OT care.
yeah,
So we don't want it to happen again. A year later, it's still happening. And then you've got the boot camps, which the Royal Commission said don't work. The Army said they won't be involved in it because they don't work. They've put millions of dollars into that. It's failed, but they're saying the two people that have survived through that, they're seeing that as a win-win. And, and OT are running that. And so there's things like that just, and you're apologising for what happened, and you're saying it will not happen again, but you're putting things in place that make it will happen again.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah. To go back to yesterday, Ken, even though no MP or no politician found the time to be there, what was the atmosphere? Was it more reflection? Was there a bit of anger, or was it just good to see people?
Well, there was a wee bit of mix, because the survivors are angry. There's no way about it. So yes,
Yeah,
they allowed them to be in a place where they could feel safe. And
yeah,
all the 8 speakers we had were who had all been through the Royal Commission, and were
yeah,
either in state faith-based or girls' homes. We had Māori and Pacifica, so we had all that covered. So everybody spoke from their heart and how it had affected them. And like I say, just that sort of being in a safe place. But I've had a few phone calls from the ones who have been triggered and said that was really awesome. However, it's brought back all these memories, and a lot of them, most of them have said, which is really horrible, because I fought hard to get the Royal Commission. A lot of them
yeah.
have said, I wish I had never put myself through the Royal Commission.
Oh, oh, yeah.
They put their blood
Yeah,
on the floor.
yeah. I understand that. But you also understand, Ken, that it had to happen, right? I mean,
Oh, definitely.
yeah,
I mean, not because I fought for it for
yeah,
like a lot of others for 20, 30 years to get something,
yeah,
so that people could understand that these stories these people have been told. And I mean, they're talking at the moment about all what's going on with the police. 90% of these kids went to the police and complained, or went to the social worker and complained, and they were told to go away.
yeah, yeah. Ken, your
So
work isn't done
our
yet.
system's not changing.
No,
No,
Ken,
I'm
you say your work's not done yet. What do you continue to advocate for?
Well, we certainly want to push for this. It has to be driven by survivors, and we've asked for that right from day one, and it's not. I was on a Zoom meeting the other day with, and I won't mention the name of the organisation, but it was all about a big glossy thing of what they're doing and how they're doing it, and behind the scenes there's all these people doing this, and all these people behind the scenes are getting paid huge money, and it looks really good in glossy, but it's not actually working. And
Yeah,
so there's not
yeah,
they haven't got the survivor voice in there that should be in there.
yeah. Well,
And just one thing too, if I may,
yeah,
I want to
sure.
acknowledge our mayor Phil. He was there from 12 o'clock till 4:30.
Phil
and he
Major.
mingled with everyone, Phil Major, and he
Lovely.
spoke to everybody. He
Yeah.
said how he felt personally about it, and it certainly wasn't a political campaign on his behalf, any shape or form.
That's fantastic. Ken, thank you. It's
Yeah.
lovely to talk to you. We got there in the end, and
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate
No,
your time.
thanks for hanging in with me. I appreciate it.
Not at all, Ken. Not at all. Good. Have a good day, my friend. That is Ken, Clearwater survivor and advocate. Yesterday, yes. So, Ken and I were trying to connect yesterday because it was the National Day of Reflection on the 12th of November. But as he's just pointed out, they had a very big rally, a very big event. Good to see a couple of hundred turned up, but he said, there was anger there. It is interesting. I mean, it has to be survivor led. That has to have survivors in there to make this work. Any redress, how they move through the system. Otherwise it just doesn't make sense, and that's what Ken is frustrated about.